Hello, this is Cameron Urban, the creator of Ptera Software, the open-sourced flapping wing aerodynamics simulator. And this is a step-by-step guide on how to install and get started using Ptera Software on your computer. So starting with just a few notes, so I'm going to be installing version 2.2.1, which is the latest version as of filming. Additionally, future versions may have a GUI installer, which will probably be easier to use and sort of get set up with, but I'm specifically going to be installing the source code here. Additionally, I am running this installation on a clean install of Windows 10 on a virtual machine. So hopefully this will include sort of all the steps, assuming that you don't have anything installed prior to this tutorial. And finally, I'm going to be downloading the sort of source code itself instead of importing Ptera Software as a package from the Python packaging index. I'm assuming that if you're importing Ptera Software as a package, you probably have a little bit more experience with Python to begin with, but I may do a tutorial with that regardless in the future. So there are four main steps we're going to go through. So the first is downloading Python 3.8. The second is downloading PyCharm, the IDE that we'll be interacting with Ptera Software using. Then the third is we're going to download Ptera Software itself and get it set up. And then finally, we're going to test the installation by running some of the example files. All right, now with our browser, we're going to search for Python. Go to python.org. We're going to go to Downloads, Windows. So what we want to do here is scroll down to the latest version of Python 3.8 that has a installer. So see, this is 3.8.16. That would be the latest version, but it doesn't have a installer or any files for the release. So let's keep scrolling. Alright, so it looks like Python 3.8.10 as of filming is the latest version with an installer, so we're going to click on that. Alright, and then we're going to open the installer. And one thing that's important is you want to check this Add Python 3.8 to Path box. That will make it much easier to actually access Python. So then click Install Now. Yes. Great. So then we'll click Close. Now we can go to our search bar and type Python. 3.8 comes up, and we can just pin this to the taskbar for use later. Open it up, and we can test it out. So if we do A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 1 plus 2. Perfect. Python works. So we can just close that. The other thing we want to test is open up the command prompt. I'm going to pin this as well. So one thing to test is, so if you call Python from the command prompt, it should bring you into Python. So that's what adding Python as a path variable does. So then we can exit out of that. And now one thing to try is typing pip list. So this is how Python packages are installed. And yep, sure enough, this comes with not the latest version of pip. So what we want to do is we want to type python-m pip install upgrade, spelled correctly, pip. And just give this a second to install. Awesome. Now, the other thing that we should probably do is try to upgrade setup tools. So that's the other pip package that comes standard. So let's try that. Awesome. And then when we type pip list again, it will show us packages with the most up-to-date versions. Perfect. So we can exit that. Now on to step 2, which is downloading PyCharm. So again, open your browser and search for PyCharm. So go to download PyCharm. So here we're going to be using the free community version. You can also use the professional version if you want. You just need to pay for it. It does have some benefits, but the community version should work just fine for us. Let's download. Alright, so that will take a second to download, and while that's downloading, there is another tool that we should get. So this will not actually be required for all Windows 10 installations. Many of you will actually already have this downloaded, but just in case, look up Visual Studio. Now go to Downloads. And we don't actually need to download all of Visual Studio. Instead, scroll down, all the way down, to Other Tools, Frameworks, and Redistributables. Click that. And then here, download this. And let's run this really quick while we're waiting for the PyCharm download to finish. Alright, agree. So there is a dependency in Ptera Software that requires that the correct version of C++ is installed, and so this just makes sure that we do that. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's open up PyCharm. So of the options, we don't really need this, I don't believe. One thing is we should update the context menu with open folder as project and also create associations.py. While that is extracting, we may as well go and download Ptera Software itself. So go to github.com. And here we can search for Ptera Software. I apologize for how slow this computer is. This is a virtual machine, so it is significantly more laggy than your computer will hopefully be. So what we want to do here, when you scroll down on the repository homepage, and not quite to the point where we get to the README, you'll see this bar on the side that says releases. So if you click that, these, So here you'll see the lists of all of the sort of official releases, which are versions of the master branch that sort of have been deemed fit for everyone to use. And we're going to download the most latest one, which right now is v2.2.1. And we want the source code zip. And we can, this is still working. We can show in folder. Perfect. And we can just cut and paste that to the desktop. Excellent. So let's go check on how PyCharm is doing. Oh, still working. Okay, we can move on to the next step. The Ptera Software itself. So right-click on this and click Extract All. Great. So now we are done with our browser, so we can close out of that. So now one thing that we should probably do, so this is sort of strange that this is the default option with extracting files in Windows, but you can see that there's actually two folders here, both called Ptera Software-2.2.1, one inside of the other, which can be a little bit confusing. So what I like to do is actually just rename this guy temp, and then pull this out to the desktop, and then close File Explorer, delete temp, and we also don't need the compressed folder anymore. So now we just have one folder, Ptera Software-2.2.1, and this actually has everything we need in it. So now what we can do is rename this to just Ptera Software. I'll make our lives a little bit easier, less confusing. And then in here, we should delete the .github folder and delete the .gitignore folder, and also delete the .idea folder. All right. And so now, let's see how PyCharm is doing. So we have finished installing PyCharm, which is great. So now we can right-click this and open folder as PyCharm Community Edition project. Alright, and since this is the first time it's loading this as a project, it will take a little bit to sort of index through all the files. So we'll just wait for that to finish. And you'll see that on the bar on the bottom right here. So for right now, let's actually this is all correct, so we may as well just do it this way. So what it wants to do is create a virtual environment, which is exactly correct. Basically, this is sort of a sandboxed version of Python with all the dependencies that we want for this project. That way, if you have multiple projects running on your computer, they all have different dependencies. You don't sort of need to deal with like conflicts there. So we'll just click OK. Oh, and also if you have a previous version of Python installed, make sure that we are actually using Python 3.8 as your base interpreter here. All right, so it's going to go through and create that virtual environment, which will take a little bit. Now it is installing all of the packages that it found in requirements.txt. So this is just a little file that lists the dependent packages that Ptera Software uses and their associated versions. So it will go through and install those. We can just close out of this while we're waiting for that to work. While we're waiting for that, one thing that you can do just to check that that the project was set up correctly is you go to Settings, and then under Project, go to Project Structure, and make sure that the content root is the sort of external folder. So that's the folder that is Ptera Software with the first letter of each word capitalized. There is an internal folder, Ptera Software, all lowercase, and we want the content root to be this external folder. Click OK. You can see it is collecting all the packages it needs. So this is going to take a while, so I'll be back once these packages are installed. Okay, so now that we've downloaded all the packages, some little error messages or warnings will pop up. You can just close them. So now we are ready for the final step, which is to test that Ptera Software actually works. To do that, you want to go into the examples, and we'll pick one of the examples to take a peek at. So let's look at the steady horseshoe Vortex-Lattice method solver. So if you just double-click on the file, we'll open it in the main screen. So then if we right-click at the top, we can scroll down and run the file, like so. And again, this should be much faster to run on your non-virtual machine. Perfect. So we can see that it has finished and displayed these summary statistics, and now the visualization is popping up. Awesome. And as you can see, that is our airplane. So we can click Q to close out of that, and the process is finished.